Okay. Hello. The behaviorist might get you to think that operant conditioning is probably means the sort of like a way to look at the way that they've coded the Baudrillardian map of society and whatever else, with various and sundry cultural programs and conditions to have you in a particular cycle of avoiding pain and seeking pleasure. It's very simple. Okay, you don't want to get hurt and you want to be as happy as possible. All right then, fair enough. Okay, so there's particular means by mathematics associated with how beings respond to those particular stimuli, and adverse stimuli is obviously avoided, and one that's not adverse is usually sought. And there's a lot of complicated maths and a lot of complicated stuff there involving what contributes and does not contribute to that, but it's a fairly straightforward process. If you want that dog to stop crapping on your carpet, okay, you can whack it over the head when it does, or you can give it a biscuit when it goes and craps on the lawn instead. Okay, and if it gets off the carpet, you stop hitting it. Okay, so it sounds pretty nasty, but that's pretty much how it works. And so one of the things that's happened is that very simple Pavlovian slash B.F. Skinner type logic has proven to be very, very useful. It's sort of like when people had a look at what B.F. Skinner and Pavlov did and went, well, probably, to be fair, a lot of people went, well, yeah, that kind of makes sense. And so what really busts your noodle is how they use that with language and marketing and things like that, right? So good, tastes so good. Mm. Oh, look at that subtle amount little of anandamide molecules floating in that sea of filtered water, cane sugar, and ground almonds. It's only 0.5% cocoa, so because about anandamide, and it's probably 0.00025%, but holy fucking crap. If you scoff on a couple of bottles of that, you might think you had a Mars bar. Mars a day helps you work, rest, and play. Mm-hmm. Right, so, what's that all about? I don't know. To stop from conditioning cycles. Relieving the pain caused by thirst. Fluid. There's a little bit of anandamide in that. Reward. Remove adverse stimulus, thirst. Replace with pleasure stimulus, anandamide. Time for a little bit of stress relief as well. Oh yeah, got your thinking stick out. Look at that thinking stick go. I wonder what's going to come out of that one. Okay, what am I thinking about? Okay, what we're thinking about is how this is not really stress relief. Okay? The cigarette can teach you that stress and pain relief and pleasure is not the same thing, and things that you think are stress relief and pain relief are not that. Okay? Cigarettes really are just an addiction cycle that links up with associated pairs of behaviour as a cycle of dependency. But the association that mind makes with it as a consequence of the behavioural patterns tells people that it's stress relief, that it's pain relief. Stress is a type of pain, so you go, yeah, I release some of the pressure. You know what caused the pressure? The nicotine did, from the previous cigarette. That was it. That's how that addiction works. It's not anyone else's problem. Some situations can create the illusion that it is, but it's not. Okay, so they um this the idea that something that you've been given the illusion is improving your lot might not be. Okay, they play on that on purpose. Okay, they do it on purpose. In the media, they do it on purpose. They're purposely telling you, people out there, your MAGAs and your Democrats and whatever in the USA, they're telling you things that that you are being sold as relieving your pain and your suffering are giving you pleasure. Okay, that are making you happy, but they're not. They're telling the people out there that they don't have anything other than addiction cycles to work through, and then they're shaming them for it. If someone needs to comfort themselves with food, or they're just a larger person, they get shamed for it. But that's what they were given as an option. That's what was available to that person. If someone had cigarettes instead, if that was how their life path happened, then they're shamed for it. Oh, look at you killing all those babies and carrying on. Now look at this. Okay? Oh, look at that. If you smoke a cigarette, okay, you're hurting a pregnant person. Well, actually, not pregnant, so it doesn't really matter. But in that context, yeah, fair enough. All right, okay, yeah. Okay. Oh, look at that. Do you really want your parliament to look like that? Can you see that? That's pretty gross. What does it say? People who smoke have more heart attacks than people don't smoke. What do you talk about? Infection with human papillomavirus, HPV, is the main cause of cervical cancer. Smoking doubles the risk of cancer developing. Okay, so if you get HPV and you smoke cigarettes, you increase the risk of having cervical cancer. Oh, that's nice. Okay, so they're telling people on the packaging, they're saying that smoking is an adverse stimulus. Okay, smoking is bad for you. It's an adverse stimulus. They're trying to get people to move away from the behaviour. Okay, they're saying things like that. Why doesn't it work? Because people are being tricked by the cigarettes to go, the trick of the cigarettes is stronger than the image. Okay? Yeah, they know. They know every time they cough. Okay? But there's something about the cigarettes that's tricking those people into thinking that it's not that. That it's stress relief. That it's pain relief. Heck, even it's pleasure. Oh, isn't it nice to have a cigarette and a cup of coffee in the morning type of thing? Okay? That is what religion and corporations are doing to you. Okay? They're telling you that you're at fault. You're at fault for being born in your social class, in your social status, your gender, your race, or whatever. They're telling you that you're at fault. And then they go around and they tell you, but this is what history is. And this is what happened to your grandpa. This is what happened to your grandma. This is what happened to your ancestors. They tell you that because you go looking, because you got the right to know who they are. You got a right to know. You got a right to know. It's your story. It's part of your story. It's your heritage. You got the right to fucking know. And sometimes people want to find out, and they're allowed to. People who go down that path and try to find out who their ancestry was, okay, and find out what history did and society did, kind of get disappointed. They get disappointed as they find out that most of their ancestors were decent, even fantastic human beings in some cases. You know, he just encountered this horrible cruelty that shouldn't have happened to anyone. And when that cruelty happened, they said, how could anyone do that? But it wasn't the first time in history it happened, and it wasn't the last. It just happened a different way, in a different place, with different groups of people. And why? Why? Is that because evil is unavoidable? Is it because we're under some spell where there's a tree that's good, a tree that's fucking bad, and you can't have one without the other? So even though most people are good and bad pops up sometimes, it's pretty nasty, right? Comes out of repressed toxicity or something. There's no muck up day, there's no Diwali, whatever it is. Okay, there's no tension relief. Let's just behave all day, every day, in accordance with whatever standards and whatever group you're from. Fuck you. Have your fucking cigarette. Have your fucking beer. Are those people that do that rebelling against repression in a manner that's repressing them? Does this body repress themselves by smoking cigarette? Are they repressing others by doing that? Are they doing harm by having to put things into some kind of abstract socio-political notion? Why has a situation been created where people who just want to care about one another can't because of this geopolitical, socio-political fucking drama we're all in? And even if you're avoiding it, you still can't avoid it because the consequences of it affect people in terms of discrimination, in terms of oppression. Being denied the basic right to give a shit about the people you give a shit about. Because you have to fight off the whole fucking world, and it's toxic bullshit all the fucking time. Fuck you. Fuck you. You know those people with family values? They haven't got any. You know those people who have family values? The ones who were denied their families and have to go out in the world and fight the great fucking machine as their family warrior. The ones who are treated like they're stupid. The ones who are treated like they're dumb, like they're weak and they're vulnerable. The ones who go out there and learn something completely fucking different from whatever it is their home village taught them. Because their home village didn't have the answer. Their home village had the question. And the home village wasn't articulating the question. The home village was doing what the home village was told to do. Because the machine told them to do that. And that metaphor of the wandering nomad Sadi hero comes to the foreground again. As they go home and they're not necessarily listened to. But they'll all say it. They'll all say, that was the smart one. That was the wise woman. That was the wise man. That was the smarty pants who was going to move on and learn bigger and better things than they could offer. And they did their best and they encouraged them where they could and they didn't really hold them back. And they even said, sure, off you go. You know, it wasn't a lack of family values, and that was the case of, yeah, you're the one doing it. We can see that. Have fun. You know, in a lot of cases as well. Yeah. Yeah. Okay? Those people who do that, they take stock from the wanderers that came before them in their ancestry, the ones that did different. Amongst their forebears and the people in their village and their tribe who went wandering and came back with a story. They saw stories from other villages where people did the same and all. Adventuring sounds like it's a natural, normal thing to do. And so they did it. And some people ventured with books, and some people ventured with stories, and some people ventured on foot, and some people did all three. But they all wound up with the same fucking problem. It's the fucking machine. Every single fucking time. It's that fucking machine. And then some of them turn around and say, well, the Christians fucking told you that from the beginning. But when they wandered around, they saw the Christians were the fucking machine. That's like, well, what else is a machine? This, that, the other thing. Oh, jump from cult to cult to cult, culture to culture to culture, language to language to language, group to group to group, ideology to ideology. Oh, let's do science. Let's don't do science. Let's do spirituality. Let's not do spirituality. Let's do politics. Let's do something else. Okay? You know what it is? You know what it boils down to? People are making up absolute fucking crap. And there's this hardworking, whether they have a job or not, honest, decent people whose heads been full of absolute fucking lies. Lie after lie after lie. Program after program after program. Programs they created, programs society created them for them. The so-called wise woman and wise man, so-called Saudi hero, wandering fucking nomad, is no less programmed than you, sunshine. They might know what programs are, but they've still got them. And it just becomes a question of whether they're their own programs or not. And that's when it gets interesting. Here's some of the main programs that are so fucking tiresome. This really, really pisses people off. You already know what they are, so there's going to be some nodding heads out there, and if you don't, you'll probably nod anyway. You're bad because you responded to their social programs and conditionings with a form of attempted pain relief or comforting that they provided you when there was nothing else available. You attempted to self-soothe. How dare you attempt to self-soothe? What are you self-soothing for? Put that cigarette out. Put that beer in the garbage bin. Put that cheesecake away. You're not having any more cake. Don't you dare expect a hug for that. Look at you looking for sympathy, you bloody narcissist. Shame on you. You fatty boomsticks, alcoholic, fucking cigarette smoking. By the way, this body doesn't drink alcohol. We're including the cigarettes in it because the body does do cigarettes. Fatty boomstick, alcoholic, cigarette smoking, food guzzling, fucking TV watching, Panadol addicted, opiate infused fucking junkie piece of trash. Look at you. Ruining your life like that. Why don't you go get a business loan and start a rocket ship company and fucking go to the moon already? Why don't you do that for? You live in the 21st century. You have opportunities. You're not as dark as that person, or you're not as female as that person, or whatever fucking social codes they're coming up with. You can do that. Look at you though, you're as dumb as a fucking doorpost, you fat white male cunt. Hey, you fat man cunt. Look at you fat man cunt. Fucking there, fucking guzzling away fucking beer and cigarettes and fucking meth and marijuana and popping pills and fucking calling other people cunts and dickheads. You got a fucking attitude problem. You're as bitter as a fucking stale fucking grape. And it's twice as fucking sour. Why didn't you put the fucking effort in and go to university like those other people that got bashed? Those other people that got fucking raped. Those other people who were denied basic respect and fucking dignity on account of their demographic. You stupid moron. And why is that something that's important? The reason why that's important is because that when that guy in question, that type of guy, deflects on other people and starts abusing those other people who definitely tried to overcome whatever adversity they experienced and overcome the machine. That guy was sitting there, drunk up his fucking ass, complaining and abusing people still. Years and decades later, he never pulled his finger out. That's why they don't like him. It's because he didn't put the fucking effort in. Not in the way that they could see. They say, well, he needs to help himself, and he hasn't been doing it. He sits there and he makes excuses. Is he making an excuse? Was the alcohol making the excuse? Is the marijuana making the excuse? Is the crystal meth or whatever making the excuse? Is the Daily Stormer blog site making the excuse? Or is it just Sky News? Or is it the Democrat Party? Whatever it might be. Okay? What's making an excuse for him? Like, is he acting like some kind of some like excuse making station for whatever? He doesn't want to change. He doesn't want to change his attitude. He doesn't want to do anything because he's given up. He's a no-hoper. He's all the bad things they said he were and 10 times worse. He doesn't care about it. He'll just take that fucking role and then punch you for it. Okay? And that kind of character would turn around and say, well, he could be MAGA or he could hate Trump. Could be both. Could be one or the other. That's not the point. The point is that he hasn't accepted that he's programmed. Even if he said he was Bender, he hasn't accepted that program is something that can change. If they're programs, you can rewrite them. And that's the difference between the town drunk that stays in his village and gives people shit all day and the Saudi nomad who doesn't. When they go out there in the world, they find new programs. They're not always richer for it. They're not always happier for it. They sometimes encounter extreme danger, actually. But they get different programs. They get a program to challenge another program to challenge another program. And in the end, they get so many programs, maybe the Saudi warrior, they bust their own kernel, become world fractal, and then phew, there's a blowback. And they lose themselves in the process. And to deal with the programs of whoever shows up. And that can be quite complicated and confusing. For people who go, what? If you want to hear those stories about people who go through stuff like that. And so, the people need to understand that just because the aristocracy and the corporations and the grand viziers and all them fellas turn around and said to everyone, code, lie. Oh, you're doing a social movement. Let's do some agent provocateur and tuck some bad codes in there. We'll keep this misogyny program going, greater misogyny egregore going. We'll keep this greater racism program going, all in the name of keeping them, making them profit at your expense program going. Well, let's just keep going like that, Keep you all fighting each other so you don't, get around to it, Keep you in a state of need, so you don't get past that. Keep you in a fettered state, So you can't sit there and meditate and get past, the fetters of the Borderlandian map because you're too busy fighting their forced need programs. And the junkies have created forced need programs and put these cycles of fucking codependency on the fucking drug. I think it's a substitute for the aristocracy. Yeah, look at this. Okay? This is the King of England. Oh, fucking hell. Just put a fucking whoopee cushion on his fucking throne and, it's gonna catch on fire and, it's like, oh, looking stupid alien fucking Kybalian fucking shit that he's got on the back of his fucking chair, these fucking days, mate. They catch on fire, that fucking wooden goddamn fucking chair is fucking on, all this fucking crap. Wishful thinking or fact? We don't know right now. It depends on the circumstances, doesn't it? Right? Who is this harming? Well, the answer is whoever's smoking it. If there's no one in the environment to get secondhand smoke, then it's whoever's smoking it, right? Who is this harming? Who is it benefiting? Well, I mean, better known as a Chesterfield Classic Original B. Philip Morris Limited, 30 Convention Centre Place, South Wharf, Victoria 3006, Australia. Made in Indonesia. Phone 1800 237 246. Okay. Alright, Ames, that's your answer, isn't it? No, is it really benefiting? You know, corporations are like. They diversify their portfolios. They run conglomerates. They don't have to make money off cigarettes. They can make money off something else. They'll sell you vapes or something. So who's really benefiting from that? Is it the rest of the economy? Does Big Pharma benefit later on if someone gets, a lung disorder or something like that from smoking cigarettes? Are they the one that benefits from that? Does Big Pharma benefit when people accustomed to company eating get type 2 diabetes or alcoholism or something? It's a death cult. It's a death cult. And the way to avoid death is to avoid people, is to avoid products, is to avoid the economy as much as possible, is to go off-grid. And how do you go off-grid? Well, you have this thing called land, you see. Oh, but wait, you don't have land. Because how do you get land? Well, you buy it. With what? Oh. Okay? You can't avoid the machine. The proverbial machine, you can't avoid it. You can't liberate people from it, because to liberate people from it requires using it. Okay? The more you learn about what they're doing, the great proverbial aim, the more you learn that the greatest trick they ever pulled was to get you to do it to yourself. And to get other people to do it, to trick you into doing it to yourself. And straight up to get other people to do it to you. You got a bunch of people walking around saying all those smart people who got degrees are dumb idiots because they don't know about astral cords or some crap. Those dumb people who know about fucking astral cords thinking they're dumb and covering up for it by saying that, when they know their real stupidity is the drug abuse. And for them to take it out on someone else is grotesquely unfair. It is not someone's fault if they did not have the same education as you in spirituality or the regular sense of the term. It's neither of their fault. They've just got different learnings and worldviews. And people should have been allowed to and should be allowed to be their own person and not be harangued by any of that stuff. They should be allowed to. But no. Your precious Kybalion and its various and sundry mystic Quabla with a Q is imprinted onto a blue crystal grid associated with textual and whatever the fuck else you're into. The purpose of turning everyone into Masons because Christianity was bad. And while you're at it, let's blame the great bureaucracy, which has nothing to do with it. Like, they're just more programs. They're just more programs. There was nothing wrong with you before they did that. To anyone who's ever encountered those ideas before, or encountered them just now, there was nothing wrong with you. When you were born, you were perfectly fine. You had no contracts. There's no such thing as soul contracts. When you first physically incarnated through your mummy's tummy, there was nothing wrong with you. You were energetically fine, energetically perfect. There was nothing wrong with you. It doesn't matter how much trauma your ancestors carried. It wasn't yours to carry. They carried it for you because they were engaging responsibility. And where they didn't do that, where they did do domestic violence or they did something bad like that, they were taught to do that by the same machine that gave them the trauma in the first place. And it's still not yours to carry. But what you shouldn't be doing alt right, and what you shouldn't be doing alt left, and especially alt right, is joining the fucking AFD. How are you going to clear out your ancestors' trauma if you recreate it in another generation? Why should we allow the industrial capitalists of the world to use that language, aristocrats and whatever else, to stamp their footprints around from one location to another? Like a virus that gets contained and then goes, oops, let's go somewhere else. Why should that toxic chain be transferred to different places? Why should that pain and demonisation happen to anyone? Is it not that we're all plebeians and that some of us benefited from universal education and some of us didn't use it? Is it not the case that if someone went to the effort to learn what they did, that doesn't mean that their worldview is better than yours, it's just useful in its context. And if they're trying to use their worldview to help you, then maybe you should appreciate that once in a while. And if you're blaming the wrong people for shit they didn't fucking do, then you are doing the wrong thing. And the cleaner lady comes through here, right? This place. And a few months ago, she said about junkies, she said she's not going to judge them for taking whatever they need to get through the day. And the truth is, they're doing more than that. They're having perceptual experiences and they're doing seer with it in some cases. Okay, with junkies, there is a clear and present danger associated with their delusional conduct. Okay, and it is delusional because they wind up with these programs that are associated with type 2 generalization errors, aggression, blame shifting, things like that. And it seems to cause them to act as though they're people who they seem to lose their sense of class solidarity, to use that language. Like they sort of half act like they're trying to do it, but half act like they're not doing it. And when they're disrespecting other people like that, it's not okay. At the same time, though, when it comes to class solidarity and consciousness, it really isn't a case of the people versus the billionaires, like all the people versus all the billionaires. It's also the case that you'll notice that your social class does affect your perception of how to interact with people and what people's rights and entitlements are. For example, as some varieties of men feel like it's acceptable to talk over other women or to put them down or to put down other classes of men, which is a discriminatory behaviour. Sometimes there's women who do the same thing, but 99% of the time it's blokes. Um, and they are chockers full of that, in what they call the imperial mindset. Um, I'm a bit more than um, average, and sometimes they're sober. So sometimes them junkies represent the lumpen proletariat in a disillusioned state of confusion, where they don't comprehend how the stratus of society, the stratification of society affected them in such a manner that they became the very bullies that they feared. And so that type of thing is that they need to comprehend that. So they need to comprehend that they're not the only disaffected people in the world, and they probably shouldn't be using the manner that the strategies of the empire on other members of their social class. They judge and leap too much because their drug behaviour caused them to become disillusioned and confused, and so they go and they um um have these expectations that came from the patterning that led to the drug behaviour. They tried to see that negative social patterning as a good thing that benefited them. So they came to misidentify with the abuser from the earlier in their life. So sometimes they got, yeah, you fucking raped her, fucking do, you fucking told, you fucking raped, that type of thing. And so they went and they took drugs and whatever else, because that made them feel like crap. And then they did the wrong thing with that. And so they acted like program robot slaves who repeated that shit ad nauseum on other people, and everyone just thought that guy's a fucking idiot. Not only is he an arsehole, he's a fucking idiot. And they didn't understand that that the guy who's like that, he was like that. He didn't understand that that other people thought he was an arsehole and idiot for a reason. But they weren't really necessarily trying to put him down. So like, it wasn't quite the same thing as like, some DV shit. They were like, dude, that's not smart, and you're hurting people, and we'd like you to stop. Like he just didn't understand that he was making other people the same way that he felt, that he was pushing his feelings onto them, that he was deflecting his own pain by putting it onto someone else. In a similar way that he took drugs to cover up those feelings, he pushed them out onto someone else by engaging in similar types of behaviour, right? It makes someone else deal with it. Someone who doesn't have that background, someone who doesn't deserve it, someone who already had enough pain as it is. More than their fair share, if you're being honest about it, depending on who you're talking about, right? And so when people said you're an arsehole and an idiot to that guy, he sort of went, Well, you know what? No, you're the arsehole and you're the idiot because that's the only response he had. It's never him. It's always them. And having to be the dominant one in a situation where he had no right to be the dominant one because he only saw the world in one binary: dominate or be dominated. Push that shit away and onto someone else, or be swamped by it. He didn't know that there were people out there who travelled far and abroad and learnt different programs. Ones that even understood what he was doing. He didn't even know he could be understood. He didn't even know he could be comprehended at all. He didn't comprehend himself. And maybe, just maybe, those stupid Daily Stormer dickheads who say they're crapidemics are the ones who are full of shit. Maybe guys like that should be more grateful to the people who found a way to solve their pain by learning about how those programs work, rather than trying to cause them pain because he didn't know how to deal with his. Maybe, just maybe, those crapidemics also needed to understand that the world is bigger than your eyes deceive you with, Horatio. And here's the coolest story of all that you can get from the crapidemics. That all the weirdos, schizoids, and people of that type fucking love this shit. They would love this shit to hear this. Did you know that the photovoltaic effect is when an electron jumps orbit in an atom? And that a photon means a photon jumps out, which is a type of light. And that air particles are made from atoms. So that when they exchange electrons and their electrons jump orbit while they're flying around your head and all through the air and everything like that, it means there's photons jumping out. Which means there's invisible sparkles fucking everywhere all the fucking time. The air is full of hundreds and thousands, like these little coloured dot things they put on fairy bread and donuts. It's like this. It's like the air is full of that. Now, if only you could see that with your bare naked eyes. If only you could see the beautiful sparkles coming out of the air particles. If you could see it in the rain. Isn't it a wonderful thing when the light sparkles on the ocean? Or when the light's glistening off a wet leaf and you can see the colours emanating from it. Imagine if there was this great screen of air particles in front of you with these popping in and out of lights as the photons emerge because the electrons and the air particles are jumping orbit. And that ain't trippy fucking junkie talk. That's Albert fucking Einstein. That's the smarty bum. So yes, this world is greater than your eyes let you know, Horatio. But that doesn't mean that if you saw that, you are seeing the codes of the Matrix. Those little colours jumping out don't mean you're seeing the noughts and the ones coming out, Neo. You're not seeing Neo, not seeing noughts and ones coming out of the Matrix if you ever saw such a thing, would you? Not saying I have, not saying anyone has, don't know if they have. But wow, wouldn't that be a sight for sore eyes to see that? What a beautiful bloody thing. To be able to see the photons emerging from atoms as the electrons jump orbit in air particles flying around. Imagine, when people do the light language which is called talking. And all the air particles come out of their mouth. I can see all the sparkles coming out. Imagine if you could actually see that. If you didn't know about the photovoltaic effect, you'd think you're barking mad. You're not supposed to be able to see that, surely. But wait, you do. That indeed, Horatio, is how you see it all. So, are you done shaming everyone? Sounds like everyone. Whether they're stupid, junky mega cunts, or crapidemics, or anyone else for that matter, has just about had enough of being treated like fucking shit. Fuck you, machine.